Fire the munch. You need to get someone else break it.
Maybe we'll just have everybody come grab their samples as
No.
You ready for some 10 a.m. mezcal?
I didn't want to say it.
What would?
I would love to try about the country board. Yeah, which is country.
How many people are tasting?
Out of the country.
Kyler, are you going to taste it?
I feel like you'd have a good time. But you have a lot to say.
I'm trying to talk.
Your show whenever.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
It's probably-
How many, 8 people are tasting?
Okay, we'll be all.
So Jonathan, we appreciate your time coming out.
Was I supposed to fuck
We're
it?
excited to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited as well. Very excited. Yeah, guys, so my name is Jonathan. I'm the local Pernod Ricard market manager for the agave portfolio. So brands that I work on are Código 1530 Tequila, Del Maguey Mezcal, Altos Tequila, and also Ojo de Tigre Mezcal. So today, how many of you guys have actually tried Código before? A couple of you? Okay, a couple of you, great. So a little bit of background on Código. Código means the codes and traditions of making tequila. So that's where we get the name Código. I always tell people, if you're not a Spanish speaker and you want to remember how to say Código, imagine you have a friend named Cody and tell him to go get tequila. Código. Easiest way to remember it. This is a history of tequila that goes back 5 generations in Amatitan in Jalisco. Amatitan in Jalisco is a very small town where some of the oldest equipment for making tequila has been found. So Amatitan is considered one of the birthplaces of tequila. That's where we get the 1530 that's part of our name, Código 1530. 1530 was the year that Amatitan was established as a town. So that's kind of where we get those roots. This tequila has only been sold for a few years here in Illinois, about 7 or 8 years here in Illinois, so relatively new, but these recipes have been shared for many, many generations. Our master distiller was lucky enough, fortunate enough to own his own distillery and not have to sell any tequila for profit. So he was just able to own his own distillery and try to make the best tequila possible. He was making that tequila for his family and friends, and after many, many years of him only sharing it in small circles, they twisted his arm and they said, hey, you know, you gotta share this tequila with the world. It's an amazing tequila, some of the best tequila that we've had, and we want you to share it with the world. So after many, many years of deciding, we are now able to share it with the world.
What year was that? Where was that going on?
I would say it was probably around 2018 that we started to sell here in Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, so relatively new company. So we pride ourselves on using 3 simple ingredients. Has anybody ever heard of additives in tequila? Additives, okay, so great. So additives in tequila basically mean that in a 100% blue agave bottle of tequila, you're legally allowed to add 1% of additives. These are kind of flavor modifiers. The most common one is artificial sweetener. Then you have artificial flavoring like vanilla flavoring, oak extract, coloring, and even glycerin. So those are kind of the 5 main additives that are found. Código 1530 does not use any of these additives whatsoever. We only use 3 simple ingredients. One is agave. All of the agave that we use is 6 to 8 years old, 6 to 8 years matured, so we make sure that we never have to add any artificial sweeteners. If you allow the plant to mature all the way from 6 to 8 years, then you never have to add any artificial sweeteners because the plant itself will provide all the sugars that you need. It just costs more money to let the plant grow that long. It's a lot cheaper to cut it down and cultivate it sooner and then just add sugars or sweeteners to make the tequila to the level that they want it to. For us, we just do everything the absolutely natural way. Water, agave that's fully grown 6 to 8 years. The water that we use is very special as well. The water gets naturally filtered through volcanic rocks. So this is the purest water you can get. You know, a lot of times they say don't drink the water in Mexico. Well, that is the case in many parts of Mexico, but in our farm, on our agave land, all of the water is the purest water you can get. So you can just grab a hose and drink water and it's completely pure. And then the third and final ingredient in our tequila is yeast. Yeast is very important for the fermentation process. It takes the agave juices and ferments them and turns them into alcohols that we can later distill. So the yeast that we use is a baker's yeast. The majority of tequila companies use industrial yeast to make this chemical reaction happen faster so they can bottle it quicker. We don't care about bottling it quicker. We want to make sure that it takes all the time that it needs and then finally it's ready to be bottled when we're ready to bottle it. So remember, no art additives whatsoever. Remember those 5 additives we talked about. And then the 3 simple ingredients in Código are water, naturally filtered through volcanic rocks, agave, aged 6 to 8 years to ensure fully ripeness, and then yeast that comes from a bakery in the town of Amatitan. So this is a baker's yeast. Those are the 3 simple ingredients in Código. Any questions so far? I'm not really going to go through the processes unless you guys would like to learn a little bit more about the processes. I'm kind of giving you guys the baseline, top line facts that you can share with your guests. So if that works, we'll continue there. No questions there. Let's see, what else did I want to cover about that? I think that's basically it about Código. Just remember, no additives, 3 simple ingredients. And then as we go through the aging process, I'll tell you a little bit more about how we age as well.
Can you hit on one more thing?
Sure.
The ancestral.
Oh, sure.
That's the only.
Yeah.
thing we have.
Yeah, I'll cover that. That's the last one I'll cover. Yeah, so I'm going to cover, so all of these, the first few that you're going to taste are tequilas, but finally we're going to finish with a Código Ancestral Mezcal as well, which is going to be very nice. Yeah, so we can start. Blanco. Okay.
I'm almost done with that bass. I'll get you by the end of the day.
Please.
Zero that yesterday,
He said something about possible. For what? Hey, Nate, you figure anything with that guy for the basket, for our basket?
Oh, yeah, I need to email Tyler.
Yeah, please email me. I'm trying to do it with you, because it makes it easier.
It does.
But if not, like, I'll, like, just let me know before mine expires. And like, then I'll just do it.
2 people are not.
Who were the 2 not tasting? This is the Blanco, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so first, as you're getting your samples, we're going to talk about the Blanco category. Blanco in Spanish means white. That basically is just talking about the clarity of the spirit itself. So Blanco means white. It means that it has not been aged for more than 2 months in a barrel. Anything Blanco or Plata or silver, this kind of terminology that gets thrown around a little bit, means that it has not been in the barrel for more than 2 months. So you can be in the barrel up to 2 months. This Blanco that you're about to taste has not touched the barrel whatsoever. We distill very close to proof. So being that this is an 80 proof bottle, we distill very close to proof, around 88 to 90 proof. And then we add a little bit of that volcanic water that I was telling you guys about. So that water that's been filtered naturally through volcanic rocks goes through there. One thing that's very special about our tequila as well is that we use 3 times the amount of agave that's normally used in a 100% bottle of agave. So a 100% bottle of tequila, 100% agave bottle of tequila will normally carry about 8.5 to 10.5 pounds of raw agave to ferment. We're topping out at about 25 pounds of raw agave per bottle. So that's something very high. This is kind of why we have a premium price tag as well. You're paying premium prices for our spirits, but you're not paying for our advertising, marketing, a very intricate design bottle. We kept everything very simple. All of our work goes into making the tequila, so that's really where we want you to see it. A point about the bottle as well. We have literally the bottle that uses the smallest label that you can put on a tequila bottle. You know, we did all of the work to go into the tequila. We wanted to make sure you can see it. So that's something that you can tell from our bottle too. Smallest label that you can put on a bottle of tequila. Okay, let's go to taste. So first, you want to look at your tequila. Go ahead and lift it up, take a look at it. Make sure it has a nice shine to it. It should have a really nice, almost silvery sheen to it as you're looking at it. Now let's get the aroma. When you're getting the aroma for a spirit, I always recommend keeping your mouth open as you're inhaling with your nose. So keep your mouth open and inhale with your nose. Can you guys start to get that agave already? Can you taste that agave? Get it a little bit through the nose, right? Okay, and if this is your first tequila of the day, and I hope it is, I mean, I'm not judging, but if this is your first tequila of the day, take a little sip. The very first sip, make sure it's just barely touching the tip of your tongue, roll it around a little bit. Very, very light, very nice minerality to it as well. Now go back and take your second sip. So you should get that minerality. It finishes very light, doesn't have too long of a finish, but it's still very, very nice. I want to show you guys a little trick so that you can identify additive-free tequilas. So with what you have in your cup still, take a little drop, just a little drop, and put it in your hand. Now once you get your hand a little wet, go ahead and rub your hands together until that completely evaporates. Great way to sanitize your hands. Yeah.
I got showered. What's my liquor on?
So what I want you guys to notice is that after it dries, your hands are not sticky whatsoever. That's because we're not putting any artificial sweeteners or anything. If you do this with a tequila that has additives in it, and you do the same thing, your hands are going to stick. Another thing that I want you to realize as well is if you smell your hands, go ahead and smell your hands out.
Don't smell it.
It doesn't smell like anything, but it smells like fresh agave a little.
Yeah.
You can get the fresh agave in there as well. So that's something that I want you guys to notice, and also always tell them. Now you'll be able to tell if somebody's telling you a tequila is additive free or not. You'll be able to check it yourself and make sure that it's additive free. So what do you guys think about that Blanco? Good? Cool. Okay, great. We will move on.
Actually, yeah. I know. It's cool. Wash hands with additive.
So this is the Rosa.
I had someone tell me you can use it as soap. That's so funny.
Okay, so as we're passing these out, our next one to talk about is a very unique expression. This is called rosa. Rosa in Spanish means rose or pink. As you can tell, the tequila has a slight pink hue to it, a very slight pink hue. That's because what we do with this tequila, we have special barrels. So the way in which we age our tequila is very different than other brands as well.
You said, what's this called? I'm sorry.
Rosa. Rosa. So the majority of tequila brands use bourbon barrels to age their tequila, American white oak barrels. Bourbon barrels are very plentiful and relatively inexpensive because bourbon makers can only use these barrels once to make bourbon. So a lot of times tequila companies will buy these barrels almost cents on the dollar, very cheap, and use them to age their tequila. What we do is that we work with a group of Napa wineries that use French white oak barrels. So the barrels that they're using come from French forests that are 200 to 300 years old. They send them to Napa to make this beautiful wine, Napa Cabernet Sauvignon, that costs $1,000 or more a bottle. They use those barrels to make their wine one time, and then they send the barrels to Mexico so that we can age our tequila in it. So when we get these barrels in Mexico, they're still stained on the inside with the essence of that Cabernet Sauvignon. So what we want to do is we want to try to capture as much of the essence of that beautiful $1,000 plus bottle of wine into our tequila. So once we get these barrels, they're uncharred, we leave them uncharred, we add our Blanco tequila that you just tried into that barrel for 1 month. After that 1 month, the tequila comes out with a very light pink hue and some aroma and tasting notes that you're about to taste right now. Go ahead and pick this one up.
So is this still Blanco now?
Cabernet Sauvignon.
No.
Yeah, it's Blanco tequila.
Blanco.
Yes, so officially, great question. Officially, this is a Blanco tequila because up until 2 months in a barrel, it's still officially a Blanco
So
tequila.
all tequila is a Blanco, like up to 2 months.
Up to 2 months in barrel, yes. So this Rosa, so 1 month. Remember the Rosa has been in there for 1 month. So go ahead and pick up your tequila, take a look at it. As you can see, it has a light pink hue, just the lightest pink hue. And that's what we get from the inside of the barrel. It doesn't give off too much color. Now go ahead and get the aroma. Remember leaving your mouth open as you're getting the aroma. Are you getting that floral? You get a little bit of a floral aroma off of this one from that Cabernet Sauvignon. And then go ahead and taste this. Now you've already had a little tequila. You can have a medium-sized sip if you like. And you're going to taste that this has some floral qualities to it, has a lot of sweetness, and has a medium finish as well. So far, who liked the Blanco best? Blanco? And who liked the Rosa best? Everybody else? Okay. All right, you know, these are two very different tequilas for two very different guests. If you're looking for if somebody comes in and they're looking for a great additive-free tequila, because more people are asking for these now. If they're looking for a great additive-free tequila and they drink a Blanco tequila, steer them towards Código Blanco. If they're drinking a Blanco tequila and they want to try something completely different and something new, steer them towards the Rosa.
So
it's still a
additives?
Blanco. No additives.
Okay.
No additives in any of this. So even though this has a slight pink color, no additives, all of that is coming from the inside of the barrel. All right? So that is Rosa. Next.
Did you mention that was the original? Rosa?
Yes, we were the original Rosa on the market. There are other Rosa tequilas now, but we were the first ones to do it like this. And we're also one of the only ones doing it in an additive-free way. There are other pink tequilas out there that you'll notice are almost fluorescent pink. That's not necessarily coming naturally from the inside of a barrel, so they're probably using additives or coloring agents to make it that pink.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to get into a little bit more of a classic type of aging. So reposado category, reposado, the word means rested. The reposado category means that the tequila's been in an oak barrel for a minimum of 2 months, a maximum of up to a year. The majority of reposado tequilas out there age for right around that 2 to 3 month mark so that they can call it a reposado. And then a lot of times they'll add oak extract or coloring to the tequila to make it seem like it's been aged for a longer period of time. We actually do the exact opposite with that. We age this 3 times longer than the minimum. So this is a 6 month aged reposado, 6 month aged in a toasted barrel. So remember how I told you that the Rosa goes into an untoasted barrel? This goes into a toasted barrel. So basically what we do is we break down a barrel that we're no longer using, we'll light it on fire, we'll turn a new barrel over on its side, take those burning embers, shovel them into the overturned barrel, and start rolling it back and forth for about 15 to 20 minutes until it gets a really light toast on the inside. After it's toasted, we put our Blanco tequila into the toasted barrel. 6 months later, the reposado comes out. So this goes into a toasted barrel.
So so what's the barrel for the Blanco? Oh no, you don't use a barrel. You said
No barrel for
You
the
said no
Blanco.
barrel for the
Yep.
Blanco.
No barrel for the Blanco, uncharred Napa Cabernet barrel for the
Okay, yeah.
Rosa, and then this uses a toasted Cabernet barrel. Everything that you're going to taste today that's been aged has been aged in French white oak Napa Cabernet barrels. So the barrels are the same. So reposado, 6 months. Go ahead and pick this one up. Now you're going to notice that this one has almost like a light hay color, light golden color. And then when you get the aroma, go ahead and get the aroma of this one. Remember keeping your mouth open. You're getting a lot more oak on this, right? You're getting oak, you're getting a little bit of sweetness. You're still getting a heavy agave as well. Very heavy agave. Now go ahead and taste this. So initially, you're going to get a little bit of that sweetness. Then you're going to get a little pepperiness as well. And then the finish is medium to short as well.
Yep.
What did you guys think of this reposado?
Very fancy. Very fancy.
So I love that you guys are more vocal about this because the reposado category in tequila is the largest growing category right now.
It's my
So
go-to.
people are looking for reposado tequilas.
Why?
So it's just because I think a lot of people are coming from being bourbon and whiskey drinkers before, and now they're starting to explore a little tequila.
That's how I do it.
And an age statement in tequila, because of the oak flavor, is a little more akin to a
It's
whiskey
closer
or
to a whiskey than
yeah,
it is.
it's a little bit closer, so that's
We're
kind of
like
why.
a Blanco tequila.
Yeah, more
Right.
that
Like,
flavor.
I'm a whiskey, like, I would be normally a whiskey drinker, but I drink tequila now.
Right.
Most days of my day, and I like that, it's additive free.
So the reposado, you guys can recommend that one, especially since you all seem to like it as well. Very great reposado. Very light on the color as well. If you look at it, it's light color because we're not adding any oak extract or any coloring to it.
Matt, is it the,
Yeah.
we need
Yes.
2 more.
Oh, yeah.
If anyone other than you comes to training, it's actually there in the office
It's just not on
because you didn't know what it is. Or where it was.
I haven't shared the training with them. I took it for granted, I guess, but I'll have all this stuff. And Eric and I will work together, and I'll share it all with them too.
We're rolling on alcohol and higher coffee. Katie, you crack me up so.
I think we only saw beer there.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
How many whiskey?
As I'm starting to notice, you guys are liking the age statements. So some of you guys are liking the age statements, the age expressions a little bit more. So this one is our añejo. Añejo in Spanish just means aged. The añejo category, the añejo category means that it's been aged for a minimum of 1 year, maximum of up to 3 years. Again, just like the reposado category, the majority of añejo tequila makers will age it just over the year mark so that they can call it an añejo and label it and price it a little bit higher. Sometimes they'll even add a little bit of coloring to make it seem like it's been aged a little bit.
What brands do that, do you know?
There are many.
Like, I know Patron does it.
I would say it's probably safe to say that around 80 to 85% of all tequilas on the shelf have additives on them. There are very few of us. So think about it this way. So the majority, a lot of tequilas are made under the same roof. There are only about around 150 distilleries in Mexico that can legally make tequila, but there are over 500 tequila companies that exist. So a lot of these distilleries are making 10, 20, 30 different tequilas under the same roof. Código is actually part of the less than 1% of tequila companies that own their own distillery and only make one tequila out
So
of
are
that.
they in, so the places that make most of the tequila, like the factories, are they mostly in one spot in Mexico?
There are a lot of them are in Jalisco.
There are a lot of them are in Jalisco?
Yeah, a lot of them are in Jalisco. Yeah, I would say the majority of them are in Jalisco, for sure.
Because I was in Guadalajara somewhere.
Oh yeah, the majority are right around there.
They
Yeah,
had-
I was just there
I
a
went-
couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I went there and
Yeah, a lot of
so
distilleries.
we went to a distillery.
Nice,
Yeah, it was
nice. Okay, so let's do this, the same tasting methods with the añejo. So this añejo that you're tasting, all of our tequilas have won awards, but this añejo is our most award-winning tequila that we have. So go ahead and get the aroma of this one after you take a look at it. It's got a really beautiful color, definitely darker than the Reposado because it's been aged for a year longer than the Reposado. Reposado 6 months, this añejo 18 months, so a year and a half.
Oh, it's quick though.
I love this añejo because I get tones of like honey, definitely some sweetness, a little bit of oak, slight spiciness, but I get more
Vanilla?
sweetness than, yeah, vanilla. So notice that you're tasting vanilla bean and not
Okay.
vanilla extract.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference. Vanilla extract is one of the most popular additives used in tequila nowadays. So it's very important to note that the vanilla that you're tasting in this añejo is more like vanilla bean. And the vanilla bean flavor you actually get from aging in the oak barrel, not from adding vanilla extract to it. Those are very different flavors and very different smells
This
as
is
well.
my favorite.
Yeah, the añejo is amazing,
This is my favorite one.
amazing.
Well, they go down quick too, real tasty.
Ah, very quick taste there.
I like that one, yeah. I like it too. You'll taste it after like a second.
And this is your extra añejo?
Thank you. What does an añejo mean again?
Aged. And the category means that it's been aged for 1 year to 3 years.
So when you do the hand thing with all of this?
Yes, you can do the hand thing with all of these, 100%. Okay, so our final tequila category that will be, final aging category we'll be talking about for tequila today is the extra añejo. Extra añejo, just like añejo means aged, means extra aged. So, excuse me. The extra añejo category means 50-year-old bottle of tequila, that would still be an extra añejo, just like a 5-year tequila would be. The majority of extra añejo tequilas, again, are aging between 3 to 5 years. This extra añejo that you're tasting is aged 6 years. This is one of the most aged extra añejos available, and it's additive free. So something extremely unique here. Go ahead and do your tasting process with this. I'll let you go through it on your own.
So which one is it on the list?
So the barrel strength we're not tasting today.
This one.
The second to last one is one we're not tasting. What did you guys think of the extra añejo? Really, really great citrus in there. I love the citrus in there. A lot of times when tequila is aged over 5 years, it starts to taste more like whiskey or cognac. But this one, you can definitely still tell that there's an agave spirit that you're tasting. So extra añejo aged 6 years. Any questions about these ones so far, guys?
I definitely taste the cinnamon.
Yeah, definitely some warming spice in there.
Yeah.
I feel like the older it gets, the less
I like the
plant
last one.
Yeah,
I like the añejo
yeah,
that
because
supposed
it's
to have.
definitely more vegetal because the barrel starts to play
Oh,
more
yeah.
of a factor.
Yeah.
That's a really good observation.
Yeah, I like the last one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
more of a whiskey guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I imagine because I
Yeah.
So this is your
Yep, that makes
still
sense.
Still?
But that's still good though.
Okay.
That's still good. But the flavor is not, it lasts a little longer. With, I think it's cinnamon.
Yeah. Really, yeah. I taste that much more lingering.
Yeah, it lasts longer in my mouth than the one before.
Still pretty light though.
Yeah, no.
I like that sheet. This is really good.
It's not on your card.
Do you think so? I like the
Makes it easy.
Thank you.
I'll have to send that to that.
have a still strength in front of you. So remember before when I was talking about the Blanco, we distill close to proof. So we distill right around 80 to 90 proof. And then we put a little bit of water to bring it down to 80 proof for the United States market. What this is a still strength.
Why do you have to?
Why do you have the?
There are laws. There's just laws in the United States where if you bring a spirit in, it has to be 80 proof.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has to be. Yeah. There's just laws that we have to follow. In Mexico, there are lower proof and much higher proof tequilas, so they go both sides of 80 proof as well. You can get something that's 78 proof, 75 proof, and you get stuff that's all the way to 110 proof. So you can, there's a range. Still strength tequilas are probably the purest form of tequila that you can get because there's no watering down of this. We do not add any water. This comes straight out of the still at 90 proof, and we bottle it straight from there. Nothing happens between the still and the bottle. We go straight from the still into the bottle. This is bottled at 90 proof, and this is different type of fermentation than the other tequilas that you tried. So in the other tequilas that you tried, we used a baker's yeast, right? Baker's yeast to make the reaction happen. In this, we're using all open air yeast. So we're leaving these out. We're letting the ambient yeast ferment this and turn this into the alcohols and sugars that we need to distill. So 90 proof, all open air fermentation, and this is all estate grown. So we have a special plot of agave on our land that's specifically for our still strength tequila. There's a specific plot that gets more care, more love, a little more love than the rest of the field. That's because this is something so special, and this is the purest form of tequila.
So, how much does it cost compared to the others then? Because it's
This one's a little bit more.
so this is more
This one's-
expensive than the.
This one sits here. This one sits in between the Reposado and the Añejo in price. So in
Between
between
the Reposado and Nano?
Añejo. So this would sit in between that price wise.
6 years way more than that.
Yeah,
How much
6
is
years.
this still on? Can I know? I don't know how much that is.
If you were to go to a store and buy this, you could probably find this for 75, 79, or 75 to
We have it
79.
downstairs.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Where do we sell it at?
We have everything
An
that
ounce.
is,
This one's not on here.
Yeah, that one's not.
So what do we sell it out an ounce? Do you know?
what's that?
What do we sell it out an ounce? Like what do we sell it at?
I'd have to pull it up. and
I'd have to
see.
pull it up there.
So everything that you guys are trying here, you actually have in house.
Okay.
Yeah, so everything that you're trying here, you have in house.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
The only thing we don't have and we didn't try is this.
Yeah, still
What's
strength.
the,
Yeah.
what's the
Yeah.
barrel strength?
Yeah, barrel strength. Barrel strength is the only one that we're not trying. Okay, so that is still strength. So go through your steps of the still strength and try this one. What you're gonna sense is, even though it is 10 proof higher than the regular Blanco, you
Oh,
taste
yeah.
a little bit higher in alcohol, but it doesn't really punch you in the face with alcohol. It's just a little bit more.
It's plants.
Yes,
It punches you in the face with plants.
Yeah,
But not
it's
alcohol.
definitely more vegetable. I agree.
Is that the agave?
That's the agave. That's exactly the agave. Yeah, it's got a little spice to it. It's got a little bit more warming, but it doesn't feel like it's that much more alcohol than a regular Blanco. So
It's
just a little
spicy
bit
though.
more. It's spicy. Definitely has some spice to
This is the purest form of tequila you can get.
it. Purest form. Okay, now, last but not least.
So we do have that one, Rob?
Which one?
Still strength.
Still strength?
Yeah.
So what's this one?
The Blanco's
This is
still
mezcal.
Oh.
This is not.
Oh, yeah.
This is what we make on.
Codigo Blanco still strength, $8
Remember, yeah.
$8. Yeah.
Oh, right.
I know you're gonna say it's $100
Probably something like that.
Yeah. This sounds really good.
Okay.
Oh, this is the mezcal. Ancestral. Okay, so now we're gonna kind of shift into mezcal mode because we're gonna go into this código and then into Del Maguey right afterwards. So, main things that I want you guys to know between the differences of mezcal and tequila. They are cousins. They both come from agave plants, right? Agave is used for both tequila mezcal. One big difference between tequila and mezcal on the agave side is that tequila legally can only use one species of agave. That's the blue Weber agave.
So what are the other species?
So there are actually over 250 different species of agave out there. But for mezcal, yeah, there are many. There are really many, and they grow all over the world. But for them to be legally considered for tequila or mezcal, they have to be made in Mexico
So let me ask you
and
this.
grow. I'm sorry.
What are the main ones that come out of Mexico?
There, Espadín is probably the most famous one, and that's what you're trying today. Today, yeah. Tobalá is another one as well. So we're gonna try a few of them today.
Okay.
A few of them today. But Espadín is probably the most common one. But so mezcal can actually use a combination of anywhere from another 30 to 50 types of agave. So remember, tequila can only use one type of agave, and then mezcal can use a combination of other types of agaves as well. So that's a big difference. Next, on the cooking process. So when you cook agave for tequila, it's in above ground ovens. You can either have a stone brick oven, you can have an autoclave that's kind of like a pressure cooker, or you can have a diffuser that actually uses chemicals to break the agave down. That's what you use for tequila. For mezcal, everything is cooked in pits underground. So a pit is dug out into the earth, then they lay down some wood, they light it on fire to get it hot, then they put stones on top of the wood to get the stones hot, and on top of the stones, they lay down agave. The agave that's going to be used for the mezcal, so that it cooks and steams on top of the rock.
Like the plant, right? Just the plant.
Yeah, the plant, yeah, just the plant gets steamed. Then they cover all of the plants and everything with dirt so that it's housed in there and it gets a little bit smoky from the wood and being cooked underground. That's why when you drink mezcal, there's always going to be a little bit of smoke to it, a little bit of smoke. But one thing that I want you guys to realize is that when we're talking about, specifically when we're talking about whiskey and agave spirits. So when you have a whiskey, they use grain like corn or wheat that can be grown pretty regularly, multiple times a year in specific plots that are very manageable and that you can grow pretty regularly. Agave is not like that. Before a single drop of tequila goes into a tequila bottle, the agave plant had to grow 6 to 8 years before it could even start the process of making tequila. So when you're talking about whiskey and you see an 8-year-old bourbon, they probably processed the grains the same year and started to age, and then 8 years after that, they had the bourbon aged. But for tequila, a Blanco basically was a plant that grew for 6 to 8 years before it was ever in the bottle. So even though there's not an age statement, it took a lot longer for the tequila to get into the bottle of tequila than it would be for whiskey to get into a bottle.
So can you make a tequila without barreling?
Yeah, that's a Blanco.
But like, actually, the question I should ask is, can you age a tequila without it being over 6 years? Like, can you because like, for example, you said with the 1 to 2 year, you don't barrel it.
No, we do.
Oh, you do?
We barrel everything from Reposado.
So then, but what about your Blanco? You don't?
No.
Yeah,
Blanco
okay.
don't go in the barrel.
But can people barrel it?
Then it would become an añejo or it becomes a Blanco.
Immediately?
All
As soon as you barrel it?
As soon as it's 2
2
months, it becomes a Reposado. So all of these start their life as a Blanco tequila. They
Okay.
all start their life as a Blanco.
That I know.
Yeah, they all started. So then if you get up to 2 months in a barrel, it becomes a Reposado. If you get over 1 year
I
in a
didn't
barrel,
know that. I didn't know that.
yeah.
Thank you for.
No, sure, no problem. That's a good question. If you go over 1 year, it's an añejo. If you go over 3 years, it's an extra añejo. But all of that tequila started its life as a Blanco tequila.
Okay.
So unaged.
I have a
Good
question. So the aging, the barrel requirement, is there a specific wood or could it be in a steel vat aged for 6 years?
It has to just be an oak barrel, but the size is not necessarily limited.
So
We age in wine barrels, so it's like 200-liter wine barrel. But there are tequila companies, mass-produced tequila companies, that will just create a wooden barrel, we'll say, that's the size of a room,
Yeah.
that's 3 stories tall.
That's
So
And
just as
that's
long
what-
as it's oak.
as long as it's oak. So
Okay.
that's called a pipon. That is definitely mass production tequila, as opposed to how we do it, where we age in actual barrels. Really good question.
So you can't do anything but oak.
Oak has to be oak.
Has to be oak.
Has to be oak. Can be American oak and
So
French
what
oak.
happens if it's not oak?
Then it's not a tequila because
What is
they
it?
all
So
have
what would
to
it
be. It would be an agave spirit.
Okay.
Because for it to be officially considered a tequila or officially considered a mezcal, there's guidelines and rules and laws they have to follow to do it.
Okay.
Questions? Okay, before we taste this mezcal, I want to give you guys a second to, let's see, what I do.
Yeah. Okay. See, so because it's not.
That was a good question. It's not in,
Okay, since we're done with the tequila portion, I have a little prize for anybody who's paying attention. I will go off of who raises their hand first. This is a 50 ml package that has everything that you tasted here except for the Blanco still strength. Okay, so who can tell me, two-part question, raise your hand. Who can tell me 3 additives that can go in tequila, and who can tell me the 3 ingredients that go into Código tequila? Okay, go ahead. 3
it's the
additives.
agave.
Okay, and go into ingredients first, okay.
The agave, the water, and the water you guys get is through the volcanic rocks.
Yes.
And then water. Oh, and then the yeast.
Yeast.
And then the one yeast is that you open air the yeast. The rest of it comes from the bakers.
Yes, exactly, 100%. For still strength is open air juice. And then what are a couple additives that tequila companies have put in there?
Vanilla extract
Yes.
is the most popular,
Yes.
as well as artificial colorings and flavors.
Yes, great, perfect. Amazing job.
Jonathan, I don't know if you're gonna cover it or not,
All
but
that written down.
the ancestral method that we.
Yes, I'm watching. Yeah. Oh,
That's the only one that we possess in our entire collection.
yeah, well, the Pachuca is ancestral as well, and the Iberico. The Pachuca and Iberico are
That was
both
very
ancestral.
informative.
Real.
Yes, because they're,
Say it on
I
the,
got that.
it does not.
During the last
It does not.
meeting.
maybe we do have
The yeast
that.
has-
yeah,
I
wrote
wrote
you have the Pachuca, you have the Iberico, and you have the Código ancestral, you have 3 ancestors.
That's amazing.
Yes.
All right.
So, okay, so now let's switch gears, let's continue to talk about mezcal. The mezcal that you have in front of you is the Código Ancestral Mezcal. So there are 3 main divisions of mezcal. One is just mezcal. Regular mezcal is just mass-produced mezcal, and it's very cheap. It's probably what came in many years ago, and that you would see like a worm in it or something. Very cheap mezcal. Then you have artisanal mezcal. Artisanal mezcal is done in a way that is limits production, but is done still in a very clean way. And then just mezcal. It's just mezcal. Mezcal, artisanal mezcal, and then the final category is ancestral mezcal. This in front of you is an ancestral mezcal. So with artisanal mezcal, you can use copper pot stills. You can use machinery that takes electricity to break down your agave and to cook. You can use some machinery. In an ancestral mezcal, you cannot use any machinery whatsoever. So even to break down the agaves, to break them down after cooking, instead of it being a machine that chops the agave down, it's actually a man. Normally he's like 70 to 80 years old with a wooden stick that kind of looks like a boat oar or like a paddle. And he's just got a channel of cooked agave in front of him, and he's just mashing the agave, hand mashing the agave all day long. That is a big part of ancestral mezcal. No machinery can be used. Next, for the still. Instead of it being a metal still like we see in a lot of spirits, this still is actually clay. So clay still. All of these impart very earthy flavors into the tequila, into the mezcal, sorry. So clay still, big part of clay stills is after every 3rd or 4th distillation, the clay still gets a crack in it, and we can't repair clay, so we have to break the whole still down and build a whole new one. Luckily, these stills are probably about this big. They're not big stills. So, but either way, we still have to break it down and build a whole new one every third or fourth distillation. So ancestral mezcal is the most painstaking, most traditional way of making mezcal. This is the way that they were making mezcal thousands of years ago. So ancestral, just remember, it's like your ancestors. It's like the oldest style of making mezcal. No machinery is allowed to be used. So let's go through the process here with this.
I have a question. Sure. Does that make it more expensive than Nathan?
Yes.
Is a price point a lot higher?
For example.
And so then,
An 80-year-old guy with a motor, of course it does.
so do you really taste that big of a difference between them?
Yeah.
I think you do. I really think you do. So we're actually going to start kind of in reverse order. So we're going to start with an ancestral, and then we're going to move into artisanal mezcal. So let's start with this one that you have in front of you. So go ahead and take a look at this. You're going to notice a nice sheen on it as well, nice silvery sheen. Immediate aroma, you get some fruitiness off of it. You get definitely a little bit of smoke.
I got a
off
smoke
of it.
for sure.
Yeah, definitely smoke off of it. Smoke as well.
Very strong, yeah.
And then when you taste it, the main flavor that I get is, so that's really what's really lovely about this mezcal. Remember, no machinery can be used whatsoever, making this a very difficult mezcal to be created.
Yeah, when I tried it, I wrote down, I tried it a little bit right before you said it, but I wrote down not being fruity.
Okay, yes, definitely, 100%.
It's oaky for sure.
So what percentage would you say of mezcals are made like this?
Oh yeah, very small percent, extremely small percent. Because it's so painstaking to make it this way,
It
and
sounds
it
like
makes it very expensive to make as well, so the market for it is very limited. But if you have your connoisseurs, if you have any mezcal connoisseur come in here and they hear that you have an ancestral mezcal, steer them towards that. Anybody who knows their mezcal, you introduce them to an ancestral mezcal, they've probably never had anything like that before. And you have 3 of them here at Blono, so we'll go over those today as well. So that is it for Código. Any questions on Código in general, mezcal and the tequila? Okay.
Is there any way you could hit on the George Strait's relationship?
Sure. So George Strait is one of our founding partners of our company. So nowadays with celebrity endorsements and things like that, a lot of the spirits world is diluted a little bit because of the amount of celebrities that are buying brands.
Yeah.
And the majority of these celebrities are paid by the brand because they want to grow their brand bigger. We're going to pay X celebrity to show up with a bottle and sell more bottles of tequila for us, or sell more bottles of anything for us. George Strait is not that for our company. We have a yearly managers meeting in Cabo San Lucas where we all talk about strategies, sales strategies, and talk about our company. George Strait is in that meeting from the very morning all the way through the whole week that we're doing all our planning. He is not a paid spokesperson. He was actually transporting this tequila from Jalisco back to his home in Texas for many years before this tequila ever had a name or ever had a bottle. He was one of the people that convinced our master distiller and owner of the distillery to sell this to the public. He was already drinking it. And for him, he loves our tequila. He was one of the very first founders. He told our owner, he said, if you decide to sell this tequila, I want to be one of your very first investors in the company. So he is not a paid spokesperson. He's actually an investor, one of the main investors in our company, and it's a very big part of our company. So we know people love George Strait. He's one of the kings of country music for sure. But as you guys noticed, today I focused on talking about the quality of tequila. And that's our main aim. Our main aim is the quality of tequila. George Strait is definitely a part of this company, and I wanted to explain to you guys how he's related to the company. But just know that he's not another one of these celebrities that's just being paid by a company to sell more tequila. So he's actually a very big part of it.
The reason I wanted to bring it up because celebrity spirits sometimes are not the best. That's not the case here. This is not his relationship. If you heard about it, I want you to think it's the bad thing. It's not like Clooney and Casamigo. It's not like that at all. So this is, as you can see, incredible product. And he just happens to be a passionate investor.
Yeah, he's very, very passionate. He loves that añejo that you guys are drinking. That's his
I
drink.
can do that too.
That's his drink. Okay.
It might become mine.
Let's do it. Puebla, yes.
You want the bottle?
Sure. Okay, next we're going to talk about Del Maguey. Del Maguey Mezcal was the very first artisanal mezcal to ever arrive in the United States.
What year?
1995.
Pretty new.
Oh yeah, pretty new, definitely relatively new. So 1995, very first year Del Maguey was launched in the United States. So story behind Del Maguey. Ron Cooper was an artist in the 70s and 80s in Southern California. He loved creating art and he was a surfer. So after he started to make a little bit of money, after he started to work in the art world and make a little bit of money off of his artwork, he decided to take a surfing trip with his buddies. And they went down to Baja California. They went down to Baja California, Mexico, and he tried for the very first time mezcal. And from his words, he said, it was terrible, it was smoky, I felt like my mouth was on fire, but I was intrigued, he said. He was intrigued. And from having that mezcal, they said, hey, if you're looking for the best mezcal, you're not gonna find it in Baja California. You have to go down to Oaxaca. So what he did was, after a few years of coming back to the US, he said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go work on artwork in Oaxaca and also explore more about mezcal. So what he did, he went down to the state of Oaxaca, that's in the southern part of Mexico, and he started to walk around. All of these little villages, he would just start to walk around. And wherever he saw, do you guys know what a Tahona wheel is? It's like a large circular stone that's meant for crushing agave. So what he would do is, as he was walking through the villages, he would be on the outskirts, and wherever he saw a large stone wheel, he knew that they were making mezcal there. And what he started to realize is that as he went from town to town, even though they might use the same agave species, the mezcal tasted different. He started to notice changes in elevation make a difference. The agriculture around the agave that's planted makes a difference in what the mezcal will taste like. The yeast, the ambient yeast, and everything that you're going to be trying from Del Maguey today is ambient yeast, so open air fermentation. So the yeast in different locations created a different flavor profile for the mezcal. Elevation, yeast, and also the agave that's used is different. Where they found the agave, whether the agave was wild or whether it was farmed. The majority of what you're going to try today is farmed espadin agave.
How do you spell that?
Espadin. So very first, I'm sure if you how many of you have tried Del Maguey mezcal before? You've tried it. This is a green bottle that people who have been in this industry for a while recognize. This has been around for 30 years now. We just celebrated our 30-year anniversary, and it's definitely the highest selling #1 mezcal in the world. So here you guys have some expressions that a lot of places do not have at all. So you're going to have some very unique expressions to give your guests here. First, we're going to start with Puebla. So what you have in front of you is Del Maguey Vida Puebla. Puebla is a state in Mexico. It's a state that is next to Oaxaca. The elevation of this, it's kind of at the base of a volcano where our distillery is for this. It's about at 5,000 feet of elevation. 5,000 feet of elevation.
Which is about where?
What do you mean?
Where would you rank it? Like, where would you put it as? And like, could you compare it to something else?
The elevation, you think?
Yeah, the elevation. Yeah.
Like how high up?
Yeah, Denver. Like Denver? Like the mountain?
Fairlawn, Utah, is
Okay.
6,000.
Oh, like in Utah?
Yeah.
Okay, makes
So
sense.
Rocky Mountain.
Got it, I've been.
Not the mountaintop, but like.
I've been to Salt Lake. So.
Yeah, so middle.
Okay.
Middle. And to be honest, the lowest point for any of these mezcals that you guys have tried is 2,000 feet above sea level. So they're all elevated for sure.
2,000.
What does the elevation do?
So the elevation, because it restricts the amount of oxygen that the plants get. The higher you go in elevation, sometimes the more sweet the agave is because the amount of oxygen is less, so the plant has to fight to make sugars and make sure it preserves itself.
Okay.
So
That
it
makes
becomes a
sense.
little sweeter.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so let's try Puebla. So go through your process. I won't walk you
So
through
you're
this
saying
one.
the higher elevation makes it sweeter?
Sometimes, yes.
And
Not always.
because the plant needs to produce more glucose.
Yeah.
Yep. And
This is our cocktailing delegate. This is the one that's in our cocktails
Yeah.
and will be in our future cocktails.
So this is also the lowest proof mezcal that you're tasting today. This is an 80 proof mezcal. The majority of mezcals are normally a little bit higher than this. Well, with Puebla, we wanted to make a very broad spectrum mezcal, I guess you could say. Something great for cocktails, something good for sipping, and something good for somebody who has never tried mezcal before.
why is it silver?
Because it's not.
But it's still messed up.
Yeah, still mezcal, yeah. So go ahead and taste this one if you haven't already.
All mezcals will be silver though?
Yeah, well, unless they're aged in something, then they'll have a little color.
That's what I thought.
You can age some mezcal as well.
That's what I thought.
There is
Not
some.
all the ancestral ones will be this color though?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, unless they're aged. or
So,
something.
can you just repeat one more time? What's in a reposado in this guy?
Reposado tequila,
Yeah,
that's a tequila. A mezcal uses
it's
different.
its own thing.
It's its own.
It's not tequila.
It's not.
Okay.
Tequila can only use,
They're using different plants.
Okay.
Yeah.
tequila can only use the blue.
Blue Weber agave, and then mezcal can use a combination.
See, I'm a little confused on that.
Yeah.
So a bottle can use more than one agave.
Yes, can use more than
But
one.
tequila has to be blue.
This, and if they
I
use
mean,
more
I thought I
than
wanted
one,
tequila.
if they use more than one, it's normally called an ensemble or an ensemble. Ensemble, yeah, exactly, if they use more. Okay, so that is Puebla. What did you guys think of Puebla? Very light on the smoke. It's definitely more, it can appeal to people who have never had mezcal before.
The
Very-
cocktail is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is good.
It's like,
This is good. This is really good. I can see myself getting very drunk off of this.
All right, this is our Vita, right?
Vita, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next we have our Vida Clásico. Vida in Spanish means life. So this is the mezcal of life, is what we like to think of. This was one of the very first mezcals ever imported to the United States. Chichicapa was our very first one that we brought in, but this one came in at around like 1997, so only a couple of years after we first launched. Vida Clásico is made in San Luis del Rio in Oaxaca. So this is at an elevation of about 3,000 feet above sea level. So lower elevation than Puebla and in a different state. All uses ambient yeast here as well. So open air fermentation here. And yeah, go ahead and taste this one. This one definitely has a much longer finish than Puebla. So this is something that you can get your mezcal connoisseurs behind. It's definitely very well balanced and has a really nice finish as well. Go ahead.
So why did it take mezcal so long to get into the United States? Were there laws or?
No, I think there was just not a demand for it. And now finally the demand has picked up. We've been waiting
I think it's
for
the whiskey drinkers, because like me
Yeah.
myself as a whiskey drinker, I've been switching to tequila myself a lot.
Yeah, and you know what? Mezcal really appeals to Scotch drinkers.
Oh, I
if you
do
have-
Scotch.
If
I'm
you
not a
have,
Scotch guy.
if you have somebody that's a Scotch drinker and they want to start exploring something else, put them on to mezcal. They'll enjoy the flavors.
And people from America were primarily exposed to poor mezcal.
Ah,
yes.
They didn't get the good stuff from the village at the Mexican.
Like from Jalisco and
They were getting the
Things like that.
worm, the
Right.
garbage stuff.
Right. They were getting just mass-produced stuff that wasn't good. The stuff that we were just calling mezcal.
that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I don't know. Because I don't love Scotch.
I only seen it scotch.
Yeah.
But it's a different kind of, I feel like scotch gets my stomach in.
passing these out.
Nick, I'm gonna have to hit the buffet for a pizza, piece of pizza or two before we start moving some stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so as we're passing these out, this is again, the first two that you've tried have been using espadín agave. So they're espadín agave. This one is also an espadín agave. So just know that all three of these taste very different from each other, but they all use the same base agave species. This is called Las Milpas. Las Milpas is spelled Lasmilpas.
So are there like rare agave plants that really drive up the price for
100%, and
mezcals?
we're gonna get into this.
And are they harder to cultivate or like?
Yes, because they're often mountains, they're off of sheer rock-faced cliffs. Yes. Great question. So, Las Milpas is the name of a town that is about 7,000 feet above sea level in the mountains of Jalisco. But Las Milpas itself means the corn stalks. So a milpa is a corn stalk. And the reason that the name of the town is called Las Milpas and this mezcal is called Las Milpas is because all around the agave, the espadín that's growing to be farmed for this, has corn growing around it. So there's a lot of corn fields all around the agave fields. And since we're using ambient yeast, and since we're open air fermentation, some of that comes off of the corn actually comes into the mezcal. So go ahead and taste this. Yes, Josh.
It's like blue corn, right?
Yes, like blue corn. Yes. There's actually a variety of corns, actually a couple of different varieties. So go ahead and taste this one. So this one, I want you guys to notice that you are tasting a little bit of corn. It's sweetness from the corn, and you're getting a very light hint. Yeah, you can smell it. That's what I love about this. Remember, the environment around where the agave is growing makes a big difference.
It's so good.
Really, really good.
Me too.
Las Milpas
Very clean.
is one of my favorite mezcal expressions that Del Maguey has. I'm so happy that you guys have it here because this is something really unique and very light on the palate. You don't have to be a mezcal expert to enjoy this. Right, all of you guys enjoyed this, and I don't know how many of you consider yourselves mezcal experts, but you don't have to be one to enjoy this one. So very good, Las Milpas. Remember this one because this is a really great go-to for some people.
Very smooth too. Yeah, that was decent. You tried that.
You know what? I forgot I had these books for you guys too. Here you
I was
go.
reading about it.
Here's a little book.
See, I thought I knew a lot about people.
There are a lot. We have almost 30 different expressions.
I know one about whiskey though. Yeah.
So what are these? Who did this artwork on these?
So his name is Ken Price.
So not the same artist.
The same artist did all of these.
Okay, but the
Yeah.
different artist than that.
Oh, I know these ones.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Oh, I
the
know.
artist that owns the company, his name is Ron Cooper.
Yeah.
And his friend is Ken Price. They lived together for a while, so then they got to talking, and then Ken created the box.
Are these
ones are distilled in here?
villages supposed to be like where they're from?
Yes, exactly. 100%. That's why we call Del Maguey single village mezcal, because all of these come from one single village. Okay, next we have another one that's very interesting as well. Santo Domingo de Alvaradas. So, Santo Domingo Alvaradas. This one is very unique because this one grows, the agave for this is espadín again, so same agave species as you've been tasting. This one grows at about 8,000 feet above sea level.
It's very earthy.
This grows with a cloud forest around it. So there's a forest up high where there's a lot of tropical fruit that grows around this. So you're going to get notes of tropical fruit in this mezcal. Yeah, you could definitely smell it. Mango, pineapple, peaches. You get some peach in there as well. Yeah, really, really nice. And again, notice, this is espadín, but because it grows at a higher elevation, And because there's different ambient yeast around there from the cloud forest,
That's good.
that really makes a difference on the flavor of it. Really does. Whose favorite is this one? This one? Whose favorite is Las Milpas? The last one. Yeah. How about Vida? Who liked Vida the best? And Puebla, the first one? No? Okay.
Pueblo was good though.
The Pueblo was good.
You know what?
That's a good cocktail.
I would say it's my two.
I think that you guys are right on because Puebla and Vida are what we use mostly in like cocktails. You can drink them on their own and you guys have them in a cocktail, so perfect for that. But then you have a lot of these other expressions that are more unique and you guys are tasting the differences, which I love. Yes.
What is this one thing? The Santo
Santo Domingo Barajas, that is just the name of the town. Yeah, that's just the name of the town. That one doesn't have any other meaning, it's just the name of the town.
So
the
the
village.
name of the town is like Jabali is the name of the town.
Jabali for that one is the name of the agave species.
Okay.
So some of these will be the name of the agave species and some of them will be the name of the actual village. The majority of the ones that have the names of a village are Espadin, and the
Okay.
majority of the other ones are because they're wild agaves that we're using. Buddy, great.
And then some of these are distilled in different ways, right?
I just got one. Jonathan pronounced.
But some of these are distilled in different ways, right?
They're all going to be distilled very similarly.
Oh,
Double distillation and copper pot stills. Yes, good question.
So you get to Pachuca.
Yeah, so you get to Pachuca.
He
So,
says it's so nice.
So you said, so they're not all, so they're all distilled what?
2 double distillation and copper pot stills. Everything that we've been talking about so far.
Double distillation.
Double distillation and copper pot stills.
That was created in China.
He'll say it's so nice.
But it was.
Okay,
Copper what?
next we have barril. Barril in Spanish means barrel. Barril in Spanish means barrel, but this is the name of the agave species that goes into this. Barril is called barrel because it is a huge agave. It can reach over 8 feet tall and is a huge wide agave. It also takes 30 years for it to grow to full maturity. This makes this very rare. You guys have something that's extremely rare in our lineup. 30 years for this agave to grow, and what you'll taste on the flavor is it's a very, it's got a little bit of spice to it, very well-rounded, has a much longer finish than what you've been tasting as well.
Grass.
Yeah, I can smell it.
Yeah,
It's very floral.
Yes.
So how many bottles could you make off of one tequila plant or one agave plant?
So one agave plant probably makes like 10 liters of tequila or mezcal. Yep. So I would say, what is that? Maybe about 12 bottles, right?
And you can harvest that just once.
One time.
Okay.
One time. Yep. Yeah, that's what makes it so different.
So you need some big fields then.
Yes,
right?
I need some big field.
Like,
So then how is this one distilled as? Like what's the barrel age?
So this one's not used any barrel. This one does not use any barrel. The agave species is
So then
called
why, but they call it barrel.
Yeah, because it's big like a barrel.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I
it's big,
understand why
it's
you
big
say
like a
it.
barrel.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, yeah.
They call it barrels.
Yeah, it's big like a barrel, yes.
Is Puebla the most volume in the United States?
What about this one?
The highest volume is
Oaxaca. Oaxaca is highest. Yeah, Oaxaca produces over 85%.
Well, I mean, Del Maguey, which brand sells the most in the US?
Oh, the Vida. The Vida Clásico. Yeah, Vida Clásico with Puebla a close second.
Why do you think it sells the most?
It's because it's been here the longest.
Okay.
It's definitely been here the longest. Vida Clásico has been around since '97.
Do you think your mezcals or your reposados sell more?
They're
They're
different.
I know they're different. I know they're different.
Different brands.
They're different. They're
Oh, brands. They're whole different brands.
Delegates.
Código has a representative.
Yeah, Código is the first one we're talking about, and the second one we're talking about.
These are
Yeah, but
all-
Código would be a reposado tequila, whereas
Okay.
these are all mezcal, which is different.
So then, does Del Maguey, so then my question would be, does Del Maguey or Código sell better in America?
Well, Del Maguey, because they only have have mezcal sells more mezcal than the Código mezcal does.
Okay.
And Código, and Del Maguey doesn't make tequila, so Código sells more
okay.
tequila, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So are they
Answer my question.
combined companies or two different companies?
They're two different companies. They're two different companies under one roof. So our company is called Pernod Ricard. Pernod Ricard owns brands like Jameson, Absolute, Malibu, a lot of brands that you guys work with here already. Up 2 years ago, because Código was an independent company, just as Del Maguey was many years ago. Código, Pernod Ricard purchased 50.1% of Código. So then all of us that were working for Código, I was part of the original team for Código, we came to Pernod Ricard. And now I cover all of the agave portfolio. So that's Del Maguey, Código, Ojo de Tigre, and Altos Tequila. So that's all under the same company. But individually, they all started as their own companies. They're just under one umbrella now.
Okay.
Is that common for most alcohol brands?
That's very common for big brands.
I mean,
now. Like if you think about it, like Diageo, they own Don Julio, Smirnoff, Guinness.
I mean, even though
They own, there's a lot of companies that are big companies that
I
own.
mean, you know, Bud or was it?
What did you guys think about it?
Budweiser.
Miller.
Really, really great. I love the mineral of it. I love the vegetable notes of it as well. Okay, let's do Pachuga.
Was it Anheuser or what is it?
That's good.
Yeah.
This is gonna be your picture.
Come on, do we have that one?
Oh, that's my favorite.
No,
Yes. No, duck. Right?
No, I thought the Perchuga was a chicken.
Pachuga means
Duck.
breast. Pachuga
This
means
is the
breast.
one where there's a chicken in the hot stills.
So it is chicken. He's right.
So you guys pay very close attention to
Yes.
this, this is important.
This one is very important, guys. So just like Bahim, that is very rare and takes a very long time to make. Pechuga, this Pechuga has a very unique distillation process. So everything else that we've tried today has been double distilled in copper pot stills, right? Except for the ancestral Código that we tried, that was in clay stills and hand mashed. So Pechuga is also an ancestral mezcal. Also hand mashed agave, clay pot stills, but the biggest difference is that this is called Pechuga. Pechuga in Spanish means breast. And the majority of time that means chicken breast. Chicken breast, turkey breast, it could be different types of breast from poultry.
Does it matter which one it makes? Like
Depends on the company. Some companies choose different. We use chicken.
They use chicken.
We use chicken.
Yeah.
So what we do is we distill 2 times in the clay still, let it go through, and then we distill an additional 3rd time. Now, when we go back and we distill the 3rd time, we hang a chicken breast in the middle of the still, and then we add clove, cinnamon, warming spices to the actual still. So that final 3rd distillation is going to run through that chicken breast, run through, finish with a very unique flavor. I'm actually going to have some of this with you guys.
Clark accidentally paid for 2 shots of it last night for someone, and we
Yeah,
just told
because
them to pay for it.
I told them, I was like, they asked for a special mezcal, I go, give them a Pachuga, but do the involved. It'll be cheaper for this one.
Yeah.
It's like $22.
So, so we split it.
Just typed in Pachuga
Yeah,
and
this-
did the first.
This is very rare. We make very small batches of this. Like even in the state, I think we might have another couple cases left. You guys have some very unique expressions that are not going to be found anywhere else. So be proud of that when you talk to your people, when you talk to your guests. You guys have stuff here that a lot of places anywhere in the area, even in Chicago, don't have. So really important there for you guys to share that. Very unique mezcal pour. You guys have them here for sure.
Well, it
yeah.
the chicken starts raw, but it steams.
It steams and then it cooks.
You can taste that. You can taste that. You can
that's
taste
right.
The chicken starts raw, and I'm
No,
just
you
like,
taste
that's a
that.
little weird, you know what, Roger?
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, no, you taste that.
Anywhere from like
And
4 to
it
6
got
hours.
cooked in the process.
Wow, that's like making my tongue so
I
tingly.
knew you were going there.
Yeah, that's a no.
But yeah, guys, that is basically everything that I have for you guys. Are there any questions on anything that I covered today?
Very informative. Thank you.
That was awesome. That was really good.
Really
One second,
appreciate
go over
it.
my notes I have.
Thank you so much.
So happy to be coming down and sharing some time with you guys. I would love to run a contest potentially for the month of May, leading up to our dinner.
Okay.
To see whoever sells the most Código and Del Maguey. So all across, is that something that you would be able to track?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have to, we don't have Cody go at the upstairs, we have two different
We go
bars.
downstairs though.
Um,
That's-
Yeah, what we call it?
No, we should have it, no, we should have announced this, we don't have it upstairs.
Yeah, we don't have 8 different ones.
Well, they can.
Yes,
I can sell it now.
Okay, all right, let's do it. So for the month of May, whoever gets, we'll do first and second place. Whoever gets the most Código and Del Maguey sales will get a bottle of Código Reposado, and then second place will get a bottle of Código Rosa.
Okay.
Sound good? And then, Rob, if you just want to let me know who the winners are, I'll come back down and show you guys.
So, one more, actually, I did a question. Just one more thing, I just want to write, I want to make sure I have the definition of this. In espadine, what's the definition?
It's just one of the many species of agave that can be used for making
It's
mezcal.
so 80% of all mezcals are made out of espadín.
Yeah.
It's the most common
This is the most common.
Percent.
agave.
Okay, thank you.
Most machine says as the one bottle, $1
Yeah, I actually don't know exactly, but I know that it's not customary. So since you guys are part of the Código and Del Maguey family, I brought some giveaways too. Let's go!
We get a big deal?
Let's go!
Can I-
Bandana as well?
Ask a question before.
Yes.
Bananas are great.
So, all of these villages, all of these barrels, all of these plants, like somebody had to. Is this all like traditional?
Yes.
And then somebody got them all together and put them
Yes.
under a brand.
Exactly.
So there has to be a wonderful story behind it.
I was saying that comes from Ron Cooper exploring all of the villages, and wherever he found a Tahona wheel, he would go there. And so he started just walking. He just walked around to all the villages and then kind of started working with all of them. Yep.
Has anybody written a book about that yet?
Yeah, it's called Finding Mezcal. There's actually a book. Ron Cooper wrote it.
All right.
Yeah, I plan on visiting Guadalajara next couple of months too,
Nice.
and doing Jalisco too.
Okay, cool.
So is there a Código in Jalisco?
Yep, I'm Monty Time. That's our.
So then I'll go check it out. I will definitely go check it out.
Okay.
Very much.
So will you be working the dinner then?
Yes. Cool. We'll be working today.
Oh, that'll be lit.
Yeah, I'll be back here for the dinner. For sure. So that should be fun.
Actually, you can write it.
That was really informative.
Actually, my money's on the show.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
You checked your quite a few, but yours was really good. I
Appreciate it.
Lucy sold more zombies than everyone else in here.
Yeah.
How many you sell?
Yeah.
Three? I was gonna say, what's the three? Oh, I tried and no one was